Hello learners, welcome back. Today we have a question on financial statements, profit and loss account, and a balance sheet. And before we move on, the question, learners, if watching this and you've not subscribed, kindly do so. Support by subscribing, like, share, and comment on areas that you would want assistance on. So therefore, learners, let's move on direct to the question. So we are told Malam traders had the following balances as at 31st December 2008. So the buildings were 540, bank loan 472, debtors 116, creditors 227, furniture 408, 170 shillings. Gross profit amounted to 520,600, motor vehicle 900, discount allowed 142,000, lighting was 25,200, interest on loan 1,200, closing stock amounted to 72,500, and then we have rent received 120,000, repairs on motor vehicle 300,000, repairs on buildings 60,000, repairs on furniture 72,030 shillings, general expenses amounted to 102,100, capital 1,400,000. So learners, at this point, before you proceed to prepare a profit and loss account, it is good to highlight what goes to P&L account, what goes to the balance sheet. So our buildings is an asset, so this will go to the balance sheet. A loan will go to the balance sheet, debtors to the balance sheet, creditors to the balance sheet, furniture balance sheet. Gross profit goes where? To the profit and loss. Motor vehicle balance sheet, discount allowed, this is an item on the profit and loss. Lighting, profit and loss. Interest on loan, P&L. Closing stock, this goes to both. This goes to the balance sheet. Remember, I've remembered with preparing the profit and loss, whereby we compare the expenses versus the income. In profit and loss, we compare expenses and income. Therefore, closing stock goes to the balance sheet. Yes, if we were preparing trading profit and loss account, then a closing stock would have appeared on both the profit and trading profit and loss and a balance sheet. So in this case, this goes to the balance sheet. Rent received, this is an income, so profit and loss. Repairs, this is an expense, so profit and loss. Repairs on buildings, an expense, profit and loss. Profit and loss. General expenses, profit and a loss. And capital, automatically this goes to the balance sheet. Remember, balance sheet we only record capital, liabilities, yes, and assets. For profit and loss, we are going to capture or to compare expenses versus income, yes, so that we arrive at the net profit. So do not get confused. So with that, then we can move on to preparing our profit and loss account. So we start with the title of our account, whereby we should start with the name of the business. And in this case, the name of the business is Malam Traders. What are we preparing? Profit and loss account for the period ended, or for the year ended, for the year ending, or you can say ended 31st December 2008. Yes, at that juncture, we draw a capital T. draw a capital T, learners, by my debit, my credit. So in this at this point, sorry, learners, on the debit side, on my debit side, I'm going to record expenses. And on the credit side, we'll prepare income. Or others talk about revenue. Yes, that is what is required of you in this type of a question. So our expenses, the first one we are seeing is this one, discount allowed. Yeah, there is no specific order to be followed. So discount allowed amounted to 142,000. Then the next one is lighting, which is 25,200. The other one is interest on loan. Yes, it is also an expense. Interest, it makes our loan a bit expensive. Interest on loan, which is 1,200. Then we have our not closing stock, but our next one is rent received. Rent received in this case is our income received. This is our income, so we will record it on the credit side. But before that, we have some gross profit here. Yes, so gross profit that was brought down is part of our income, in this case 520,600. And then we have encountered rent received, which is 120,000. Then the next one is repairs on motor vehicle. Repairs on motor vehicle. Repairs on motor vehicle. Repairs on motor vehicle amounted to 300,000. Next one, expense is repairs on buildings. Repairs on buildings, which is 60,000. Repairs on buildings is 60,000. Then we have repairs on furniture. Repairs on furniture, which is 72,030 shillings. And that is shillings. Then we have general expenses. General expenses, which are amounting to 102,100. And capital, yeah, so that is it. So we have our expenses and our income. So at this point, we are going to determine our net profit or our net loss. When do we have a net profit? When the total for the income is more than the expenses. When you have more income than the expenses, that's when we arrive at the net profit. And should be recorded on the debit side. Then the net loss is when we have the total expenses being more than the income. Yes, so let's check. 142,000, learners can use a calculator, plus 25,200 plus 1,200 plus 300,000 plus 60,000 plus 72,030 shillings plus 102,100. Yeah, this should give us a total of 702,530. Now this other side gives us 640,600. So learners, that shows us that our expenses are more than the income, and therefore our business got a loss, a net loss of how much? This total minus this total, and this gives us 61,930. Learners can use your calculator, and therefore we can close our profit and loss account. This total and this total. This gives us 702,530. The same case to this other side. 530. Yes, that is it for profit and loss account. Next is the balance sheet as at 31st December 2008. So we move on to a balance sheet. We start with the title, and the title starts with the name of the business, which is Mallam Traders. The account you're preparing is a balance sheet as at 31st December 2008. Then can draw a capital T. On one side we put assets, the other side we can have capital and liability. So let's use our my left hand side for the assets, and we start with the fixed assets. Start with the fixed assets. So in this case, we go back to our question. We have buildings. Yes, as our asset. We have buildings there, which is 540. Can have two money columns. 500, but if you have one money column, there is no harm. 540,000. Next one is motor vehicle. Motor vehicle is the next one for the fixed assets. We have this one. Yes, we had we have buildings, we have motor vehicle there, 900,000. Then we have furniture. Is this here, Lana? Yes, this is our furniture. Yes. Our furniture, which is amounting to 480,170, and clearly we do not have any other fixed assets, so you total 540 plus 900 plus 480,170. Using a calculator, this gives us 1,848,170. So the totals, put them on the second money columns, but I said you can just go with one column, there is no harm. But if you have one money column, you don't have this total, you total down here. Then the next one is the current assets. Our current assets, we start with our stock, which should be our closing stock. This one, 72,500. 72,500. Then we have, do we have any other asset? Yes, debtors. We have debtors, and we've seen it is 116. Yes, 116,900. Yes, if we total that, learners, we are going to have 1,894,100, and 89,400. 189,400. Yes, and that is it for the left hand side for the assets. Then next we have my right hand side, whereby I'm going to record capital and liabilities. So we have capital. Our capital we are given as 1,400,000. 1,400,000. And remember, learners, we had a net loss. Losses reduces capital of the business. So we less capital. We less a loss. Yes, and the loss was 61,930. 61,930. So if you subtract these two, you should be getting 1,338,070 shillings. Yes. Next, we move on to our liabilities. We are through with our capital. So we start with the long-term liabilities. The long-term liabilities, yes, where we have a bank loan, 472,500. We have a bank loan of 472,500. And that is it. Then we move to the short-term liabilities, or you can call them current liabilities. Is no harm. That one we have creditors, 227,000. Creditors, which is 227,000. So now we can get the totals for both left hand side and right hand side. So you add these two, you're supposed to get around 2,37,570. Same case, meaning we have not made any errors. You add this, you arrive at 2,37,570, and that is how you're supposed to go on or to proceed in that question. That was the expectation. So learners, that is it. We have our profit and loss account there. Yes, we said here we compare expenses versus income. And then we have our balance sheet here where we record assets, capital, and liabilities. Assets on one side, capital and liabilities on the other side. And that is it for now. Bye bye. See you in our next lesson.